Ready for an amazing story?
I am.
Today we're diving deep into Wings of Fire, the autobiography of APJ Abdul Kalam
Oh, yeah, India's missile man.
and former president.
Yeah,
But this book, it takes us way back.
before the fame.
Shows us how a kid from, humble beginnings rose up to lead India's space and missile programs.
Inspiring stuff.
It really is. It's
yeah.
packed with stories that just make you think, wow, I can achieve anything.
What gets me is how much his story, Kalam's journey, mirrors India's own development.
Like as a nation.
Yeah, it's like a window into what post-independence India was going through.
All the struggles, all the triumph.
Trying to become, a scientific powerhouse on the world stage.
Exactly. And it all starts, this journey, in Rameswaram,
Small island town.
where Kalam grew up. His family was Muslim,
Faith was super important
and his dad, he built boats.
for a living.
Can you picture little Kalam just helping out right there by the ocean?
Getting his hands dirty.
Yeah.
It wasn't just picturesque, though.
Yeah. This upbringing, it's where that incredible work ethic came from.
He talks about his dad and the high priest of the local Hindu temple. They were close friends.
Think about that. That interfaith harmony, right there in his childhood, it probably shaped his leadership style later on,
That makes so much sense.
bringing people together from all backgrounds.
Totally. Speaking of shaping, Kalam's book is full of mentors who, really guided him.
Oh yeah, tell me about it.
Jalaluddin.
Who taught him about, the power of positive thinking,
And having faith.
unwavering faith,
Then there's Sam Sutton, his cousin, ran a newspaper agency,
and gave Kalam his first job.
selling papers. Entrepreneurial spirit from a young age.
It's incredible. These mentors, they didn't just teach values, they, showed him what dedication meant.
Yeah. How to stick with something.
Even when it's tough.
Built that foundation.
Of responsibility.
This next story, it's one of my favorites. His science teacher, Saiba Subramania Iyer,
What did he do?
invited Kalam over for dinner, which was a big deal back then.
Why a big deal?
Iyer's wife, she wasn't happy about it because Kalam was Muslim and, social norms back then.
Pretty strict.
Very strict.
Think about the impact, though.
On young Kalam.
Here's this teacher, right? Willingly challenging those barriers to show kindness.
Inclusivity.
It kind of foreshadows Kalam's own commitment to breaking down those same barriers, don't you think?
Later in his career.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Later, Kalam moved to Ramanathapuram for school and homesickness.
Hit him hard.
But this is where he met another mentor.
Another game changer.
Yeah. His teacher, Idadurai Solomon.
Solomon really hammered home those values, huh?
He did, believing in yourself, setting expectations.
High expectations.
Never giving up.
Yeah.
He taught Kalam about harnessing the power of desire,
Belief.
expectation, all of it.
Now, here's where things get interesting. Kalam, he admitted that he wasn't, the top student.
Okay.
But he learned so much from, all sorts of jobs. Practical skills.
He helped out his brother.
At the shop.
He sold seashells by the beach.
On the beach. Not your typical path, is it? To rocket science.
But gold, those experiences, think about it. Customer service, dealing with tourists. Resourcefulness when supplies run low.
You don't learn that from textbooks.
Nope.
After school, it was off to St. Joseph's College.
Okay.
Kalam was, get this, into English literature and
That's good.
philosophy.
At first.
At first. Then he got hooked on physics.
Here's the cool part, though. He didn't see science and his faith as separate things.
He connected them?
Yeah, he connected, physics, to the philosophical teachings of his mentors.
And found meaning in
A
both.
deeper meaning.
He even compared this concept half-life
How even stable substances decay over time.
to what his mentors had been saying about the impermanence of things.
Deep stuff.
That is deep.
It shows us how he viewed the world.
How science and spirituality weren't, in conflict.
They enhanced each other.
But ultimately, he realized physics wasn't his true calling,
Really.
and he switched to engineering.
Enrolled in the Madras Institute of Technology.
MIT. Talk about finding your passion.
He was like launching a rocket.
To becoming the missile man of India.
At MIT, 3 professors really shaped his thinking.
Who were they?
Professor Sponder, Professor Pandalai, and Professor Narasimha Rao.
Each one a unique style.
But shared this passion, this burning passion for teaching.
Inspiring their students.
Sponder, he had lived through, the horrors of Nazi Germany. He stressed following your passion, whatever that may be.
Yeah.
Pandalai, he instilled this love for structural engineering.
Intellectual integrity.
Rao, the mathematician, he sparked Kalam's interest in theoretical aerodynamics.
The science of how things fly.
After graduating, it was off to Hindustan Aeronautics Limited
HAL.
in Bangalore.
For hands-on training.
Theory met reality there.
He worked on engine overhauling.
Part of the team keeping those planes in top shape.
Imagine that learning curve. He wasn't just reading about it. He was elbow deep in those engines.
Understanding their complexity.
That's where innovation happens. When theoretical knowledge meets practical skills.
Kalam, he always dreamed of flying.
So there.
He applied to the Air Force. And the Directorate of Technical Development and Production.
Part of the Ministry of Defense?
But this is a turning point. He aced the technical interview for the directorate.
Okay.
But he barely missed getting into the Air Force.
Huge letdown.
It was.
Sometimes these detours, they lead to amazing places.
They do.
Right.
He joined the directorate, worked on some really cool projects, designing like a supersonic target aircraft.
Wow.
A human centrifuge.
Like a giant spinny thing.
Yeah, for astronaut training.
But then opportunity knocked again.
A life-changing one.
Tell me about it.
He got transferred to the Aeronautical Development Establishment
80.
in Bangalore. His task,
Lead a team.
building an indigenous hovercraft prototype.
That's where we'll pick up next time. We'll see how this hovercraft project leads him to meet, the visionary leader of India's space program, Dr. Vikram Sarabhai.
And their journey, developing India's first sounding rockets.
And launch vehicles.
You won't want to miss it. Last time, we left off with Kalam leading that hovercraft project.
Right.
It's fascinating how he didn't let that Air Force rejection, define him.
Yeah.
He just poured all his energy into making that hovercraft a success.
It really shows his character.
What a lesson in resilience.
Some senior scientists, they were skeptical,
Oh, yeah.
called his team, get this, eccentric inventors.
No way.
But Kalam, he never wavered.
He had that drive.
That inner drive to stay focused.
No matter what.
No matter the
It
criticism,
makes you think.
anyone pushing boundaries.
You're going to hit some resistance.
Absolutely.
You got to have that inner drive.
to keep going.
Yeah.
Sometimes those roadblocks,
They lead to unexpected open doors.
like what happened here?
This hovercraft, it caught the eye of Prof. M.G.K. Menon,
Okay.
who was visiting from the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He saw something in Kalam's work, something special.
And he recommended him for a position at INCOSPAR.
INCOSPAR,
That stands for...
Indian National Committee for Space Research,
Right. This was like the early version
of what would become ISRO.
the Indian Space Research Organization.
Talk about a pivotal moment.
Kalam stepping into the world of rocket science.
India's space program just taking off.
And it all started with a hovercraft.
You can, feel the excitement in Kalam's writing
I know.
as he describes meeting Dr. Vikram Sarabhai.
The legendary founder of ISRO.
Sarabhai had this incredible knack for spotting potential.
Yeah, and their meeting, it wasn't your typical job interview.
More like a meeting of the minds.
Kalam said Sarabhai didn't, grill him on technical stuff.
Yeah.
They talk about possibilities.
About India's future in space.
What a way to connect with someone.
Sarabhai's vision was clear.
An integrated national space program
Built on homegrown talent,
and technology.
he didn't just want to launch rockets.
He wanted India to build them.
He designed them
Create everything.
for space exploration.
This became Kalam's guiding star.
Throughout his career,
And the first step on this journey,
the Rohini-sounding rocket program.
RSR.
Yes.
I was confused about sounding rockets at first.
How are they different from the ones that launch satellites?
Yeah, or missiles.
Kalam explains it beautifully in the book.
Okay.
Sounding rockets are like probes.
Whoa.
They shoot up into the upper atmosphere,
Collect data.
helping scientists understand things like wind patterns,
Okay.
atmospheric pressure.
Even cosmic radiation.
Think of them as scientific explorers.
So they're not about reaching orbit
No.
or hitting targets.
It's about gathering knowledge.
about what's right above us.
Exactly.
And the RSR program was crucial.
For India,
It wasn't just about the rockets themselves.
it's about building expertise,
Collaborating
laying the foundation.
for bigger things to come.
Absolutely.
I love this story about Kalam being called for an early morning meeting with Dr. Sarabhai
Oh, yeah.
at a Delhi hotel. And while he's waiting, he picks up a book about innovation.
Randomly.
And it just shifted his thinking.
It's like fate.
Oh.
The book argued that progress,
Depends on...
unreasonable people,
Okay.
people who challenge the norm
That resonated with Kalam.
deeply.
It shows how these chance encounters,
Can shape our path.
they really can.
So during that meeting, Sarabhai gave Kalam this exciting challenge.
Which was?
Develop an Indian version of a Russian Rado system.
Righto.
Rocket-assisted takeoff.
Okay, so it helps planes.
Takeoff from shorter runways.
Really useful for military aircraft.
This project was a game changer.
How so?
It proved that India could build
Sophisticated rocket technology.
on its own.
Wow.
Plus, it showed the practical value,
Of space tech.
even in those early days.
But it wasn't easy, right?
Limited resources.
It's skepticism.
Yet they pulled it off.
In just 18 months.
Kalam and his team developed and tested.
That indigenous Righto system.
What a victory.
There's this anecdote about a young accountant named Babu.
Babu.
He joined the Righto team briefly.
Okay.
He questioned why it was taking so long.
Hmm.
Suggested they, change their approach instead of waiting for more resources.
An accountant giving rocket scientists advice.
I know. Amazing.
It shows that fresh perspectives.
They come from anywhere.
Kalam listened to Babu.
He did.
It actually helps speed up the development process.
That's incredible.
It's a reminder that innovation,
Often comes from
challenging assumptions
being open.
to unconventional ideas.
So the Righto was a success.
But bigger things were on the horizon.
A next goal.
Build the satellite launch vehicle
SLV-3.
to put India's own satellite into orbit.
Stakes were high.
This was India's first attempt.
At a launch vehicle.
A whole new level of complexity.
I can imagine.
The pressure to succeed,
The skepticism.
the lack of resources,
A test of leadership.
teamwork,
And then sheer willpower.
plus the technical challenges.
I read that Kalam initially wanted to collaborate with the French Space Agency for the SLV's fourth stage.
They had a rocket called Diamond.
He thought, why not leverage their expertise?
Makes sense.
His team developed a fourth stage.
Compatible with Diamond.
But then the French...
Canceled their program.
Oh, no!
Talk about a
They were
curveball.
left with a stage they couldn't use.
Another setback.
Because it's like these
He
obstacles.
fueled Kalam's determination.
He focused on the remaining stages.
Pushing forward.
With that unwavering belief.
This episode really underscores the importance of self-reliance.
A theme that runs deep in Kalam's story.
Having faith in your own capabilities.
Even when circumstances change.
Drastically.
And then, during this intense period,
Tragedy struck.
Kalam lost his brother-in-law.
Oh no.
Then his mentor, Jalaluddin, his
Disneyland.
parents passed away.
In quick succession.
Heartbreaking.
Especially with the pressure of the SLV-3.
Looming over him.
It was a period of immense grief.
But Kalam, he found solace in his work.
Channeling his sorrow into building the SLV-3.
He saw this rocket as more than just a machine.
A symbol of India's aspirations.
And he wouldn't let anything derail that dream.
He had this amazing team around him.
But they were stretched thin.
He requested 275 engineers.
And only got about 50.
How do you achieve something so monumental?
With such limited manpower.
It speaks volumes about their dedication.
They were a mutual appreciation club,
As Kalam put it,
celebrating their successes together.
supporting each other through failures.
This wasn't just a job,
It was a shared mission.
a shared purpose.
That's what fueled their success.
He also talks about breaking down silos,
Collaborating with industries,
academic institutions.
anyone who could contribute,
It shows the power of building bridges
not just within a team.
across the scientific community
Collaboration was key
to overcome those limitations.
in resources and expertise.
Kalam knew that innovation thrives.
When people from different backgrounds
Come together.
share their knowledge,
It's like a giant puzzle
everyone brings a different piece.
to create the complete picture
I love how he describes their flow state.
while working on the SLV-3.
So engrossed,
They'd forget to eat.
working late into the night.
Driven by this passion.
It shows what happens when you find meaning in what you do.
It wasn't just building a rocket.
He was building something that represented India's hopes and dreams.
And then,
The first test launch,
of SLV-3.
August of 1979,
Years of work.
culminating in this one moment.
What happened?
Did it work?
Did it?
Unfortunately, no.
Oh, no.
The rocket veered off course, crashed into the Bay of Bengal.
Can you imagine the disappointment?
The weight of expectation.
Was scrutiny?
And then failure.
It must have been devastating.
All that effort.
And then such a public setback.
But here's where Kalam's leadership truly shines.
Okay.
Instead of letting that failure crush them,
He rallied his team.
reminded them that setbacks are stepping stones.
To success.
He focused on learning,
from the mistakes,
analyzing what went wrong.
preparing for another attempt.
So they had a second chance.
Another SLV-3 was ready.
But the pressure,
Must have been immense.
the whole nation was watching.
Waiting to see if India could achieve this milestone.
What was the atmosphere like?
Leading up to that second launch.
It was electric. You could cut the tension with a knife.
Everyone on edge.
But there was also this sense of hope,
A collective breath held.
waiting to see if India could join that elite club of spacefaring nations.
And Kalam,
He remained a pillar of strength.
even amidst personal grief.
He'd received news of his father's passing just days before the launch.
It's unimaginable.
The weight of the nation's expectations on his shoulders.
And dealing with such a profound loss.
But he persevered,
He performed his father's last rites,
returned to work,
his focus unwavering.
and then July 18th, 1980,
The day arrived.
all eyes on the launch pad.
As the countdown reached 0,
The SLV-3 roared to life,
lift off
carrying Rohini the satellite.
into orbit.
A perfect launch.
India had done it.
It was a moment of pure jubilation.
Relief.
Pride washed over everyone.
They had overcome so much.
The failures, the
This.
sheer determination.
It all paid off.
Kalam describes it as a collective victory,
Not just for the team.
but for the entire nation.
This wasn't just about launching a satellite
It was about proving India's capabilities.
on the world stage
It ignited the imagination.
and inspired generations to come.
It showed that with dedication and hard work,
Even the most ambitious dreams.
could be achieved.
But the story doesn't end there.
Even after the euphoria of the SLV-3 success,
Kalam sensed a shift.
at the Vikram Sarabhai Space Center,
A kind of what now feel.
like they had reached the summit.
And were unsure of where to go next.
It's natural.
Even after achieving something monumental.
There's this moment of pause.
A search for a new purpose?
For Kalam, that new purpose came in 1982.
When Dr. Raja Ramana approached him,
The director of DRDO,
the Defense Research and Development Organization,
with a new challenge,
to lead the Integrated Guided Missile Development Program,
IGMDP.
the Missile Man era was about to begin.
This program aimed to develop a whole range of missiles,
Right here in India.
reducing dependence on foreign technology.
Boosting the country's defense capabilities?
Kalam really believed in self-reliance.
Especially when it came to defense.
It wasn't just about national security
It was about having control.
over your own destiny,
Fostering innovation.
within your own borders.
Yeah. So how did he approach this massive task?
The IGMDP,
It involves so many different types of missiles.
each with its own complexities.
It sounds like a logistical and scientific behemoth.
First, he assembled a team,
A stellar team,
5 project directors in all.
each in charge of a specific missile, surface to surface,
Crucial.
short range surface to air,
Akash,
medium range surface to air,
an anti-tank,
intermediate range ballistic missile.
a powerhouse lineup
He had a gift
for recognizing talent.
and building strong teams.
It wasn't just about finding the smartest people.
It was about finding those who could lead,
Inspire.
think outside the box.
And he didn't stick to traditional hierarchies,
He created a science council.
where scientists of all levels
Could come together,
share ideas.
even challenge the status quo
That's so different.
from the rigid structures you often see.
In research organizations,
He fostered open communication,
realizing that great ideas can come from anyone.
regardless of seniority.
He understood the power of collaboration
And he pushed for homegrown technology.
at every turn,
No copying existing designs.
or relying on imports
He wanted Indian solutions.
for Indian challenges,
And that led to some groundbreaking innovations.
like with the Prithvi missile,
It featured a new type of engine
a clustered liquid propellant rocket engine,
with programmable total impulse
which basically gave them the flexibility,
to adjust the range and payload.
depending on the mission,
Cutting-edge stuff.
for India back then.
And then there's Agni.
India's first intermediate-range ballistic missile,
This one was a huge leap forward.
requiring them to master re-entry technology
Figuring out how to protect the missile from burning up.
when it comes back into the atmosphere.
Imagine the scientific hurdles.
They had to overcome.
Kalam talks about how over 500 scientists and engineers from all over India
Worked on Agni
showcasing this incredible collaboration.
between research labs
Academic institutions.
and various industries.
It was a national effort.
Kalam recognized that no single organization could do it alone.
It required a network of experts
A willingness to share knowledge
and a shared passion.
for the mission
But even with the best minds,
and the best intentions.
there were setbacks.
The first 2 test launches of Agni,
Were unsuccessful.
the disappointment
The pressure.
after those failures,
The stakes were incredibly high.
the world was watching.
But Kalam
As always,
remained calm,
he reassured his team.
telling them they hadn't lost anything.
But a few weeks of work, he focused on analyzing what went wrong
Learning from the mistakes.
and pushing forward.
That kind of resilience is inspiring.
He didn't let the failures define them.
They were simply part of the journey.
And that persistence paid off.
Just a few weeks later,
On May 22nd, 1989.
they launched Agni again.
This time,
It was a success,
the missile followed its trajectory flawlessly
proving India's mastery,
of re-entry technology
marking a monumental achievement.
in their missile program.
What a journey!
From building boats with his father,
To leading India's space and missile program.
a testament to the power of hard work,
Perseverance.
belief in oneself.
Wings of Fire isn't just an autobiography.
It's a lesson in leadership
Innovation.
and the importance of chasing big dreams.
Even when the odds are stacked against you,
It really makes you think.
how can we apply Kalam's principles?
His collaborative spirit,
His focus on self-reliance
his unwavering determination
to our own lives,
to the challenges we face
in our own work.
and pursuits.
Kalam's story reminds us
That even seemingly impossible dreams,
it can be achieved.
with dedication
A shared vision.
and a willingness to never give up,
He truly embodied the spirit of Wings of Fire
soaring to incredible heights.
and leaving an indelible mark on India and the world.
If you haven't already,
I highly recommend picking up a copy of Wings of Fire.
it's an inspiring read.
That will stay with you long after you finish the last page.
And that concludes our deep dive.
Into the extraordinary life of A.P.J. Abdul Kalam.